Welcome back. So the first thing we are going to do once we've landed on Talon 4 is to scan our ship. Hunter class gunship, registered to Samus Aran. You can return to your ship to recharge energy, reload weapons, and save progress in the game. The ship basically acts as an all-purpose hub where you can go to replenish energy and ammo as necessary. It's the only place to replenish all your ammo. The first room we're going to enter here contains some beetles. Morphology: beetle, burrowing insect with a resilient carapace, extremely aggressive. Insect's massive mouth enables it to tunnel through solid rock at high speeds. Above ground, beetles can cover short distances rapidly. They attack anything that moves near their lair. Presumably that these beetles are activated by seismic shifts. You'll notice these mushrooms over here. Keep those in the back of your mind as you're playing the game. Our next scan. Species: sapsack. Chemical reaction within sac produces violent explosion when agitated. Because of its irresistible odor and sweet nectar, the sapsack was nearly eaten out of existence. The evolution of an explosive chemical sac saved it. Now only brave or ingenious creatures dare to devour it. That's interesting. There's a number of scans that we're going to go through, so this part will take a little bit of time. Species: blast cap. Volatile chemicals within this weed's toxic fungal cap may explode if agitated. The poisonous flesh of the blast cap helps keep it from being eaten. It also detonates its fungal cap when it senses even slight contact. Morphology: zoomer. Anchors itself to walls and other surfaces. Avoid contact with spikes. A basic nerve center located directly above the zoomer's mandibles detects nutrients. Sharp spine protected from casual predators, but the lack of a reinforced carapace make the zoomer vulnerable to any indirect attacks. And then we have we'll be climbing up here. This is really strictly not needed, just to find this guy. Morphology: Gemer, wall-crawling mollusk with retractable spikes. The Gemer is an evolutionary offshoot of the zoomer family. When threatened, it extends lethal spikes and retracts its head deep into its armored carapace. So the first part of the game is going to involve a lot of scanning, but we're going to try and move as quickly as we can. One of the interesting things is that this does have a lot of parallels to Super Metroid. One of the first things I remember in Super Metroid is that you land in Crateria, and then you make your way to Brinstar almost immediately. Similarly, we are going to do the same thing in Metroid Prime. We start off on the surface of Talon 4, and we head into the Chozo ruins. We will ignore these beetles, and we'll try to avoid combat whenever possible. This is our first Chozo lore. It gives us some backstory about what happened on planet Talon 4. The history of the Chozo stretches back into ancient times, so far into the fog of the past that we know not where our ancestors came from. One thing is clear, however. The Chozo who colonized Talon 4 made a conscious choice to eschew a civilization of advanced technology. We Chozo chose to live in harmony with nature, guided by the providence of the universe. We believe we will spend peaceful days here and plan to leave our world from time to time. So this sect of the Chozo was very peaceful, and now we get a nice panoramic scene of the main plaza here. And so these Chozo very much lived a very natural life, eschewing technology. Presumably, as we'll see later, they were guardians of some of their advanced tech, particularly the advanced weaponry, which explains why there is this tech for Samus to find and make use. Morphology: Scarab. Exploding parasites that can embed their bodies into solid rock. Scarabs think nothing of sacrificing themselves for the safety of their swarm. When hostile life form is sighted, they block its progress by embedding themselves in floors and walls. Embedded scarabs violently self-destruct when threatened. I will say, one of the things I find interesting about the developers' thought process is that there's a number of enemies here that are suicidal. Morphology: Ion. Immobile organisms entirely composed of ocular tissue. Capable of launching sustained energy beams when active, the ion is sensitive to light and will close shut if a bright flash ignites nearby. So we'll just again ignore these ions. We can shoot them to momentarily stun them. Just like many of the creatures, they don't pose much of a threat here. Our second Chozo lore. Many long years have passed since we Chozo first took root in this land. The passage of time has always been a source of fascination to us. It is the belief of many Chozo sages that the truths of the universe hide within the tumbling currents of time's flow. Even as we search for answers there, however, we find illumination in other, unexpected places. We know not how the ability has come to us, but recently many Chozo have begun to sense things beyond the realm of ordinary perception. Strange sights and inexplicable sensations flood our minds, filling us with visions. We take this growing ability to be a sign of our burgeoning harmonization with the infinite. Perhaps, finally, the universe's secrets are becoming known to us. Structure: War Wasp Hive. Primarily War Wasp's dwelling, only vulnerable to heavy weaponry. War wasps build their homes over existing crevices using whatever materials are close at hand. They carry building fragments back to the construction site with their forelegs and glue them into place with adhesives secreted from their abdomens. And I will say war wasps are one of the few enemies that are common on Talent 4 and I really don't like. Morphology: War Wasp. Airborne insect equipped with a venomous stinger capable of shearing steel. The War Wasp rarely strays far from its hive unless it is pursuing an immediate threat. It attacks with no regard for its own survival, dive-bombing its enemy with stinger extended. Fast-working toxins from the stinger can incapacitate most small organisms. We will head through here. There is a save station nearby, but we are going to ignore that save station. And more war wasps here. Note here, the water here is green, indicating that the water here is toxic. And proceed to scan. Morphology: Plasmite. A small insect capable of storing and releasing thermal energy. Plasmites are attracted to sources of heat, thriving on the energy present there. They emit light when hunting, and will expel small bursts of thermal energy when threatened. And so basically they act as a light source, but of course if you kill them, then that light source goes away. This crate here almost always seems to hold a large energy. Replenishes 20 units of energy. So if you're ever looking for where to scan a large energy, here. Species: Tangleweed. Plant life with basic sentience. Retracts in the ground if threatened. Tangleweeds are only dangerous to small organisms. They are covered in tiny barbs designed to trap potential meals. Tangleweeds lack the strength to do anything more than hinder large life forms. And basically, all they will do is slow you down if you get caught in tangleweeds. But as you said, just shoot the tangleweeds and they retract. So here we come. And we can see that there is an item right there. If we scan it, here we go. It appears that this item can only be reached by using the elevated bridge. Well, let's use the elevated bridge, only we now come across our first mini-boss, which is the Hive Mecha. And as always, we should scan the mini-boss before we proceed to find out what its weaknesses are. Hive Mecha security unit programmed to work with predatory hive dwellers. A design flaw makes the shielding on Hive Mecha weak around their access ports. These units are second-generation combat drones, able to interface with organic units at a higher level. They train, shelter, and work with hive-dwelling predators. Unarmed, they rely on their hive beasts to handle any threats. Which means that we now have these variation on wasps. Ram War Wasp, airborne predator, circles its prey and then strikes. The war wasps are the only species on Talon 4 to evolve a true hive mind. Nesting in their damp, dark places, ram war wasps emerge in small groups when threatened and circle their enemies at high speeds, disorienting it. Striking from all sides as a single intelligence, they can fell huge organisms, and basically, as indicated, they just fly around all over the place. And once done, we attack the hive mecha like so. It'll produce more war wasps, and so it will be our goal to, as before, kill all the war wasps that are circling it. One of the one of the ways to efficiently kill the war wasps is make use of your radar in the top left corner to find out when war wasps stop. That way you can quickly find them. And darn, I didn't shoot it fast enough. Normally I'm able to shoot it fast enough, but I got a little disoriented there. We're gonna let this one go because it's all the way on the other side, and let's see if we can attack it here. Darn. We have to do this 3 times, so this will be the 3rd and final wave of ram war wasps that we have to defeat. Oh, I didn't see where that one was. I'm just gonna keep blasting until I can. Darn. I'm not doing the greatest job at attacking these, but that's okay. We'll get them. There's one. Just slow and steady will eventually kill the war wasps. Last one. Let's see where he steps. Oh, how convenient. And so finally we can attack. And now we have destroyed the hive mecha. We will collect our first item here, which is the missile launcher. And this will allow us to shoot missiles once more. The missile launcher gives us a total of 5 missiles to carry at a time. But Talon 4 is littered with all kinds of missile expansion packs to increase our missile capacity. And we have a new type of door here. There's a blast shield on the door blocking access. Analysis indicates that the blast shield is invulnerable to beam weapons. Explosive weapons may damage it. So let's take heed and fire a missile at it. And we are greeted with our next power-up. Well, not the small tunnel, but rather the energy tank. This item permanently increases your maximum energy capacity by 100 units. Now, technically, this item is off the beaten path, because after all, there's a small tunnel there, and we don't have a morph ball bomb, so we can't access that tunnel, so we have to backtrack and look for a morph ball power-up. Upon defeating the hive totem, that piece of the environment breaks down, and we can backtrack before we were trapped in that room with the hive mecha. But we will backtrack one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy the war wasp hive. Because once again, I cannot stand the war wasp, and so I'm just going to take them all down. Ruined war wasp hive. War wasps are resourceful insects. The destruction of a hive will not deter the survivors from rebuilding a new home. Surviving war wasps will defend new sites with their lives until the hive is complete. The reason why we want to destroy it, whoops, and now we see why we can't go on the water, is behind this wall there is a missile expansion. Let's have a look at that. Missile expansion. Increase the number of missiles you can carry by 5. In this game, the maximum number of missiles you can carry is 250. So it's going to take us a fair bit to collect them all. You don't need 250 missiles in order to beat the game. In fact, you can probably do it with half that amount or less quite comfortably. But we will be getting all the missile packs. Some missile packs are very convenient. Other missile packs are not so convenient. So we'll be going ahead, going back, and revisiting. One thing, other than the enemies being suicidal, which I find somewhat unrealistic, the fact that there are these creatures that can emit lasers and basically look like eyeballs in the rock seems unrealistic to me as well, but certainly makes a good obstacle. The main plaza has many doors, but in actuality, there's really only one way to go. You have to get the missile launcher first. All the other doors are dead ends without the missile launcher, and once you do get the missile launcher, then the only way to go is through here. And we see the morph ball there, and once again we come across, now here we have to defeat all these beetles. I find missiles are the fastest, because with some carefully placed missiles you can defeat several beetles at the same time. So let's take advantage of the fact that we can kill several beetles at the same time with the missile launcher. There is a finite number of beetles here, so it's really just a matter of time. And here we get a new enemy. Again, another mini boss of sorts. The first bit of the game is really defeating a number of mini bosses. This one. Oh, let's scan. So, morphology, plated beetle, well-armored burrowing insect, vulnerable only in the rear abdomen. Creature's thick cranial plating can repel frontal attacks. This gives it an advantage in combat, allowing it to make ramming attacks, only surfacing when it detects vibrations above. It then maneuvers itself so as to always face its rival, keeping its exposed abdomen protected. Classic enemy design. Here we have to dodge and fire a missile. And I think I was too late with that. So you have to let it charge, and there we go. We have defeated, so a couple missile strikes in its abdomen, and the plated beetle goes down. So now we have our second item here. Morph ball, well, I should say second major item. The glyphs on the wall behind me at the moment, I think it's just purely decoration. You can't scan it. Nope. And in fact, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain morph ball, go through this little hole here, and now we're off to the next area on Talon 4. We have these gosh, I've forgotten the name of those things already. What are they called? Scarabs. So we have the scarabs there, and now we are going to make our way to the next portion. Once again, ignoring the beetles. One of the ways that you can certainly make beating Metroid Prime quickly is not to focus on every single enemy encounter. Often you can just run away from most enemies encounters and try to get to the next door. And here I have a whole bunch of war wasps, so I don't really want to deal with them. If you roll in the morph ball, if you do it quickly enough, the scarabs don't hurt you. You're just too fast for it. And I believe morph ball actually is the fastest way to traverse. Here we have more of this poison water, so we have to walk all the way around this particular room. We see that there is a fountain here of sorts, and another Chozo lore. The surges of negative energy brought by the meteor far exceed our expectation. We Chozo have yet to find a way to rid ourselves of the great poison. All we can do now is seal it away and wait for the day when a power to purify the poison appears. However, it is already impossible to collect all the pieces of the great poison, as it has already spread, seeping into the planet and hardening. This alludes to a cataclysmic event here that happened on Talon 4 some time ago, where a meteor struck the planet, causing an impact crater. And before we do that, let's have a look at our new creature. Morphology: Shriekbat, territorial ceiling dweller. Body temperature peaks at 121 degrees centigrade. Shriekbats have high internal temperature, making them easy to spot with thermal imaging. Hint, hint. They roost on cave ceilings while hunting for small prey. Fiercely territorial, they dive bomb anything that wanders near. So once again, we have another suicidal enemy. But thankfully, we can collect these. And here we have another missile door. And yet another enemy. Reaper Vine, powerful rock-dwelling tentacle. A single eye upon the Reaper Vine keeps the constant vigil, but its vision is limited to 10 meters. A scythe-like appendage on its tip is home to lethal sharpness. The Reaper Vine will swing this blade wildly at anything that enters its zone of perception. I do find it somewhat interesting that the developer of this game, Retro Studios, is a developer based in Texas, and they use the metric system for its measurements for Samus. So Samus is a user of the metric system, despite the fact that it's an American company and the Americans use the Imperial system. Anyway, we'll make our way here to yet another missile door. Now, when I first came here, I thought this room was really cool. The mist here and the way that it fogs up Samus's visor, I thought that was pretty darn cool. So we have these blast caps. Let's just jump right over them. And we are here into this watery hallway. More shriek bats. If you know where to look, you can eliminate them before they dive bomb you. You can hear that sound. Whenever you hear that sound, that's a hint that there is a missile expansion nearby. So you should use your scan visor to blast away any hidden walls to indicate where those hidden items might be. Okay, more blast caps. Now this room is the first room where you have to find these runic symbols. Okay, a number of rooms have these runic symbols, so you have to take your time to find all 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I like these platforms. At least I like that there are these cables here to indicate how these platforms are in the air. So that's 2 of the 4 symbols. This room is filled with Reaper Vines, so just be methodical and eliminate all the Reaper Vines. Here's a 3rd runic symbol. Might want to wait for this one to reappear so that we can again force it to retreat into its hole. And here's our 4th runic symbol. Here we'll scan the middle symbol, causing the gate to unlock. And here we have yet another of our items that we lost, the charge beam. We also have some Chozo lore. Disaster struck suddenly. We had a vague, dark foreboding, and it became truth. A meteor appeared from nowhere, casting a dark shadow of debris over the land with the violence of its impact. Its destructive force spent, the fallen star burned itself out rapidly, and the incident should have faded into memory. But the meteor brought with it corruption. A great poison burst forth into the land, a strange energy that clawed at natural life with a ferocity. That strange negative energy emitted from the meteor expanded to encompass Talon 4 in a night, as a spider weaves a web. So this poison seeped all over Talon 4, corrupting everything. The space pirates have stumbled on this poison and called it Phazon. So now we have the charge beam. The charge beam can kill these ions, so we'll just kill a few of them. Don't have to kill them all. 3 is good. You can see that there's a hole here to indicate that if we had bombs, we could go into that hole. And some of you might know and say, well, wait a minute, you could get morph ball bombs first before coming here and getting charge beam. But in my opinion, it's not worth it because there's 2 missile packs behind that hole, and even with bombs, you can only get one of them. Ooh, this is an early scan. Missile ammunition resupplies missile launcher with 5 rounds of ammo. So missile actually comes in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large, and each of them has their own scan. So if you're looking for 100% scans, make sure you scan all 3 forms, at least in the Trilogy version. So we've come back to this room. Once again, jump over the blast caps, and now we have to make our climb up to this room to get our final items, which, I've already kind of spoiled, is the morph ball bombs. I do like that artwork here, and here we can see that medium missile ammunition at this point is now becoming the norm, so you want to watch out for that. And we are going to try and amass missiles and missile expansion as they come. Shriek bats in this particular game are pretty dumb in that you can easily dodge them once they try to dive bomb you. I always hate this part. I always feel like I can never make the jump, so I always feel like it's kind of a YOLO thing. Alright, so we will come in here. More shriek bats? Yes, more shriek bats. Alright, and we will come in here. Again, another hint there that there's a passage if we could blow the cap off with the bombs. But, just shooting the ions shouldn't be too bad. More shriek bats. And this time we see that there is a new research scan. Let's get closer. Lock system engaged. Secure the area to unlock door. So there's a puzzle here to activate and unlock that door, which we will again do later. Oh, more shriek bats. And if you know where to look and you know where to shoot. And one more scan here. New creature. Stone toad. Preys on creatures smaller than itself, vulnerable only from within. A stone toad is able to remain still for days. It preys upon creatures smaller than itself, inhaling them whole. Anything it finds undigestible, it regurgitates. Stone toads use their tusks as a last resort in combat. So that's a hint that if you're in Morph Ball and get close to a stone toad, it'll try and eat you and then spit you out again. But we'll have a look at them in a little bit. Alright. And now we come to yet another mini-boss. So, we have this thing. Mechanoid, incinerator drone programmed for high temperature waste disposal. Device schematics indicate a high risk of malfunction when internal power core is damaged. Unit has minimal combat programming, but can defend itself if necessary. This drone's intense heat blasts compensate for its lack of battle prowess. So basically, just avoid the flames, and when the target makes its appearance, like so, just blast it. And it will shoot heat up into this hive, and we'll see our third and final variety of war wasp. Barb the war wasp, airborne insect with the ability to launch its stinger at prey. A highly aggressive member of the war wasp family, this insect can propel the tip of its stinger up to 20 meters. The stinger tips regrow seconds after launch and contain an acidic compound designed to pre-digest prey. So basically, it'll shoot projectiles at you. These aren't really too bad. Just avoid them. Oh, jeez. Let's try that again. Yeah. Darn. Again, this thing isn't too bad. And oh. One of the interesting things about the Ram War Wasp and the Barbed War Wasp is that the Ram War Wasp we only fight with the Hive Mecha, and the Barbed War Wasps here we only fight with the Incinerator Drone. All other wasps we encounter are going to be the regular War Wasp variety. This is their one and only Barbed War Wasp Hive, and thanks to the Incinerator Drone, we have destroyed it. And so we get this item here, the Morph Ball Bomb. So we are finally able to get our bombs back. Very useful. And before leaving the room, you'll notice again that there is a piece of wall here that you can break away and collect the missile expansion here. So I believe we're up to 20 missiles. One of the things about the Metroid Prime Trilogy game is that we have a comfort here of having a ball jump. The original GameCube game didn't have the morph ball jump ball. So this makes it a little bit easier to do some of the puzzles in this game. Now we see if we enter the stone toad and put some bombs inside, we can destroy the stone toad. Here's some new research. Standard morph ball slot. This slot is active. Inserting the morph ball and detonating a bomb will usually cause these slots to send electrical impulses that can activate different types of devices. So naturally, this is very useful. For Samus, all we have to do is jump into a morph ball slot, activate a bomb, and something good will happen. Here we have one of our first morph ball puzzles. So we will go ahead and go through this hole here. There we go. Jump into this morph ball slot. To activate these panels. Now here I'll find it's a little bit easier to go back and unmorph. And so we have some shriek bats. It's okay, we'll make our way over here to the third and final morph ball slot. Jump in, activate it, and now we have permanently activated and secured the room. So with these slots, we are able to unlock that locked door, and we can proceed inside. Now, again, being strictly efficient, you don't have to go into the store. We will be coming back to this store later, but it's certainly worth going in here, at least for the one item that we can collect at the moment. One of the things you'll see here is that we have this strange track, which we can't interact with, but we can go into this morph ball slot, jump up here, and end up inside a giant furnace. The heat here doesn't affect Samus, so this furnace must not be very hot at the moment. But we can collect our second energy tank, which will certainly be very useful. And let's go back into this morph ball slot. Jeez. Sometimes I find the 3D geometry a little bit difficult to navigate, but that wasn't too bad. Alright, so we have collected a good amount of items that we lost. One of the items that we're not going to be able to collect for a long while is the grapple beam. The grapple beam will be a very late game item that we acquire. But we're just going to go back. So, I should mention too that over there is a save station. I'm not going to be using save stations because I am playing on emulation. I do own a bona fide copy of Metroid Prime, but I find emulation certainly to be a bit of a comfort. Here in the Great Tree Hall, or the Arboretum I should say, we are going to have another of these runic puzzles. So we have 4 symbols to collect. So there's one underneath here, and here I'm going to jump over here. We have another one behind these red venom weeds. We can't scan these venom weeds, but we can shoot them to get that second one. The Arboretum, just like many other rooms, houses war wasp hives, so my recommendation is shoot the war wasp hives before any of the war wasps come around. That way the war wasps won't bother you. Here we have these sandstone blocks, so we need the morph ball bombs to get rid of them. Our third runic symbol over here. And we have, oh shoot, great. So we have these war wasps. As you can see, these war wasps really like the dive bomb. And we have a new enemy over here. Venomweed, a poisonous plant that retracts into the ground if threatened. Venomweeds evolve to thrive in the habitats of large organisms. They lure prey with brightly colored leaves, then detain it with the tiny barbs that deliver a powerful toxin. Venom weeds rapidly decompose anything that succumbs in their midst. So we are going to shoot those venom weeds, make our way over here. Venom weeds are just like the tangle weeds. Is there another hive? No, I don't think so. And we'll make our way over here, and there should be a 4th symbol nearby. Maybe it's, there it is. There's the 4th symbol. And so with the 4 symbols, there's a door at the top that will open, and we can proceed. Again, we need the morph ball bombs to blow away the sandstone. Go into this room. Here we have very foreboding music. I should mention, I do like the music in the Metroid Prime, and in fact all the Prime games. I think the music is just terrific. It provides a nice, good amount of ambience, and there are actually some very memorable tunes. Don't you dare try to respawn, Venom Weeds. Open these crates for some supplies, but I think we have a good amount of supplies here. One of the things that I think Metroid Prime gets right, as with most Metroid games, is that they demonstrate Samus to be very capable and very resourceful, so that when enemies do attack, Samus is able to maneuver out of the way. We have 2 scans here. One of Flagra's tentacles fills this narrow drainage channel. Analysis indicates that Flagra's central nervous system is located at the base of this structure. Well, we should probably scan the main boss here. This is our first official boss after the Parasite Queen. Morphology, Flagra. This mutant plant is the source of toxic water in the ruins. Flagra's growth cycle has been radically accelerated. As a result, it requires near constant exposure to solar energy to remain active. This exposure has made Flagra's outer shell thick and durable. Its lower root system is unprotected and vulnerable. However, exploit this flaw when possible. Concentrated weapon fire can daze it for short periods. So the idea is that the main Flagra here is largely invulnerable, but you want to shoot these solar panels so that you remove its source of sunlight, stun Flagra, and use these tunnels here with a morph ball bomb to deal direct damage to Flagra's root system. There's 4 morph ball slots, so we will have to do this 4 times. Each time it gets progressively more challenging because each time you bomb a root system, Flagra activates 1 more solar panel. So now we have 2 solar panels to contend with. And one of the things you have to watch out for is Flagra likes to do that. So here, stun Flagra. And with Flagra stunned, it'll fall down. And now we can activate the bomb slot here. This boss really isn't too bad, and one of the things I should say too is I really like all the bosses that Retro Studio has designed. For the most part, I do like the Flagra fight. I do like the fact that Flagra here. I do like the idea that it's not so much how much damage you can do directly with Flagra, but this boss very much is more like a puzzle than just fighting it directly and trying to deal a certain amount of damage in a certain amount of time. So that's 3 bomb slots. One of the things you'll notice too that each time we do activate a bomb slot, we are taking a quarter of Flagra's health away. So if we look at Flagra's health bar, once Flagra has regenerated itself, we'll see that there is only a quarter of its health left. Flagra. Once again, you can only stun Flagra, but you have to activate all 4 of these solar mirrors before Flagra collapses, and we are left with just the final root system. And we have officially defeated Flagra. I do like this final cinematic here. The attempt for Flagra to try and continue living without its root system, but it can't. And with the death of Flagra, all the toxins in the water system here in the Chozo ruins miraculously gets cleansed, and so now the water is safe to enter again. Here we have the Varia suit, or Varia suit. And so the Varia suit is a familiar suit for a lot of Metroid players. The Varia suit, I believe, has been in every incarnation of Metroid, and it's the typical suit that Samus wears. The various suit here will allow Samus to enter areas of high heat and provide additional damage protection. So even though damage has not been a concern yet, we're going to be facing stronger enemies where they'll do more damage. So it's nice to have a damage reduction um, capabilities. In the Trilogy version, you earn credits as you defeat things. So in this particular case, I've earned the World Gallery package. These crates almost always house a third form of energy. Ultra Energy replenishes 100 units of health. Ultra Energy is very useful. Not useful for me at the moment, but useful in general, especially for enemies that deal large amounts of damage. Here we have a new creature, Morphology, Pulse Bombu, life form of raw energy, periodically releasing explosive segments from its body. Pulse Bombus are energy beings invulnerable to most known weapons. Electrical energy can harm them. Hint, hint. However, they lack any intelligence beyond an instinctive attraction to other charged energy sources. Hint, don't use the charge beam unless you intend to destroy them. Pulse bombs produce energy constantly. All excess energy is shed regardless of who or what may be nearby. So we are just going to ignore the pulse bombu for the moment because we can't do anything with it. And here we enter a room that, again, is a room that I personally do not care for because it's just filled with war wasps. But we are going to be here just long enough to read this Chozo lore. The cries of this dying land echo in our ears as we Chozo watch the great poison seep ever further into the living pulse of the planet. The dark energy sinks into the trees and waters, devouring all life. Peaceful beasts die by the thousands. Some creatures survive, but their forms grow as twisted and evil as the force that fell from the sky. Many of these mutated monstrosities remain small enough to do little harm, but others grow enormous and threaten our very existence. One such beast defies our sacred fountain, disgorging poison from its foul form, replacing pure flowing water with cascades of creeping death. Even in the face of such horror, we Chozo do not churn in fear. We are all that stands in the way of this great poison, and it is our duty to contain it. So the surviving Chozo, that's what they did. They tried to contain the poison, aka Phazon. And I like that little text there alluding to the fact that Flagra is the source of poisonous waters in the Chozo ruins, and they attempted to fight it. So now we are entering the Magmore Caverns, and we are going to take a break here, and we will return in the next video.